Which children's movie is actually sad/disturbing? A Little Princess. It was hard to watch as a kid, especially when she heard the news about her dad and the way she was treated. It was heartbreaking, especially when she sees her father at the end and is desperately trying to get him to recognize her as police are dragging her away. Dumbo when they separate him from his mom, and Bambi when his mom is shot. My parents had to take us home because we were so traumatized. Thanks, Walt Disney. Especially the scene where Dumbo's mom rocks and comforts a crying Dumbo with her trunk through the bars of her cage after she was locked up. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is darker than I remember as a child. The one torture scene took me by surprise because I definitely didn't remember that. Shit, I ducking forgot that. It's actually brilliant because they use rotten fruit and in place of the blood dripping down his body that Whiplash's world left. So much respect for these little genius ways animators can tell horrifying stories with child-friendly visuals. Is it the scene where he is discovered by the people? Or what torture scene are we talking about? It's been a while since I've seen it. How about the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from the 60s? Watching it as an adult, I'm shocked how damn mean Santa is. And Rudolph's parents are pretty terrible too. Santa tell Donner he should be ashamed of himself for having a child with a birth defect. The Rescuers. When Penny is forced to get the diamond out of the cave. It's so cramped and claustrophobic and the tide just keeps rising and they won't pull her out until she finds it. Terrifying. That movie was huge wake up call to kids that are abused though. My girl. When Vada starts crying about how he needs his glasses. It gets me every time. I was literally grounded from watching my girl become. I would cry every time I heard, "Where's his glasses? He can't see without his glasses." I watched it with my 9-year-old son 2 weeks ago and we both shed a couple tears. That scene always got me, but I never truly understood it until my daughter died. We wanted her to wear a certain sleeveless dress that she had worn several times that year. She always wore a long sleeved shirt under it because it was winter and the dress was itchy. Her funeral was on a hot week in mid-May. I didn't want her to wear the long sleeved shirt because she would have been too hot. But I didn't want her to wear only the itchy dress. I had to go and buy her a new short-sleeved undershirt so she wouldn't be itchy or too hot. That was my glasses moment. Edit. Thank you all for your kindness. The second anniversary of her death was just a couple weeks ago. Next week is the third anniversary of her DIPG diagnosis. She would be 7 and probably annoying the s out of me during this whole pandemic stay-at-home stuff. If cancer wasn't such a cruel murderer, I hold my older 3 kids a little tighter now. The Brave Little Toaster. Didn't the act kill itself in that one? And there was also a song about depressed cast talking about how their life is meaningless and their primes are behind them. The first Land Before Time movie is a lot darker and sadder than the sequels that followed. The Prince of Egypt had 2 scenes that messed me up as a kid. 1. Moses learning the Egyptians were feeding the babies to crocodiles. 2. The death of the firstborns. Also the 10 Plagues song was super chilling. The chanting? Spooky. Still probably in my top 5 favorite animated films. Brother Bear. A young man's brother is killed by a bear defending her cub. Distraught and angry, he hunts the bear down and kills it in revenge. Shortly after, the young man is magically transformed into a bear. He meets a cub looking for his mom and begrudgingly escorts him to a river where many bears meet up every year, hoping to find the cub's mom. Come to find out, the bear he killed in revenge was the mom. In the end he meets his brother's spirit and decides to stay as a bear to protect the young cub! Where the Wild Things Are. Maybe a decent book, but the film, sad and unsettling. I got 5 minutes into that movie as a young kid, like 11 or so, and I've got a heavy conscience and can't handle strong negative emotions or lots of gore, and I kid you not, 5 minutes in I wanted to throw up. I felt so bad. I loved the book, but the movie made me feel horrible and I couldn't finish it. There were a small handful of personal things that struck me really hard too and made it worse. James and the Giant Peach. That movie F me up and I'm not really sure why. All dogs go to heaven. I still sometimes have nightmares about the hell ship slowly and inexorably sinking into the lava. And there's no escape for Charlie. I'm 37 years old. The Fox and the Hound is one of the saddest movies I've seen. Also, the full song Puff the Magic Dragon really gets me every time. Came here looking for this. I still love it so much, but it's a gut punch. I'm a hound dog. Ahoo. The original animated Charlotte's Web. F that song the spider sings right before she dies and leaves Wilbur all alone. Still makes me tear up. My dad has cried twice in his life. When his mom died and at the end of Charlotte's Web. You can imagine why the latter one happened. Return to Oz. When I watched this movie as a kid I had nightmares about the Wheelers, the insane asylum, the rocking, the headless woman, so many crazy scary things about that movie. The never-ending story horse in the mud scene. Some wounds never heal. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The child catcher is scary AF. Bridge to Therabisha is the saddest children's movie I've ever seen. The Secret of NIMH was ducking terrifying when I was little, but I also loved it. The Snowman. I still can't watch the end to this day. Some darkness just gets seen by a kid too early. Got that ending. The music in that movie was absolutely incredible. Though, the whole thing is just a work of art. A lot of people just remember the ending. But I highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to watch the whole thing. It's only about 30 minutes. It's an absolutely beautiful depiction of British winter scenes and life. Childish wonder and imagination. I'd recommend it to anyone looking for a Christmas flight of fancy for the whole family. Just be prepared. The ending is rough. The Last Unicorn. I'm not like the others now. For no unicorn was ever born who could regret. But I do. I regret. It's a bittersweet moment. But holy fudge, eternity is a long time to feel regret. Neverending Story is F up. I wrote a paper in college titled The Neverending Story, A Child's First Introduction to Existentialism. Toy Story 3, when they all hold hands and accept death by incineration, was disturbing as S. Oh my god, have you seen the video of the guys who pranked their mom with an edit they made where the movie ends with the toys being incinerated? Hilarious. The Little Prince Netflix movie that will give you plenty of feels for the day. That movie. Wow. I know it's a kids movie, but it's still one of my favorites. I'd almost forgotten about it, so thanks for mentioning it. Christopher Robin had me crying when all I was after was a cute Winnie the Pooh and Pals adventure. Hubs and I are in our 30s, and we cried like fools in the theater because of the whole growing up and leaving behind things you love thing. All the children looked at us funny. I remember the Puff the Magic Dragon cartoon feature thingy they showed on TV once or twice when I was a child. They got to the song, and I realized that I was going to grow up and leave toys behind and become a person with responsibilities and such. Not just losing the desire to play, but losing people as well. That was some heavy S for me at the time. It kinda still is. Matilda. Due to her parents were thieving assholes who, when the cops were pursuing them, just signed over their rights to Miss Honey no problem. In real life, no matter what assholes her parents were, this is devastating to a child. I love the movie though. Edit F, I forgot to mention the Trunchbull tossing kids over the fence by their ponytails or locking them in the chocky. Monster House. Disturbing and sad at the same ducking time. I remembered watching it as a kid and freaking out about the whole story. So how'd the house become a monster house? A wizard or a ghost or something like that? Gets answer. What the duck? I googled it too, and holy s, what the f. Do tell. A woman is encased in concrete in the basement of a house her husband is building. The house becomes possessed and the man continues to live there until he gets old and she starts eating children. Mrs. Doubtfire. As a child, you think it's funny to see a grown having to cross-dress to spend time with his own children. As an adult, I see it as a tragic tale of a grown having to cross-dress to spend time with his own children. Robin Williams was that good. Also, my favorite part is when he throws a lemon at Pierce Brosnan's head. It was a drive-by fruiting. Some disgruntled member of the waitstaff. Did you not tip them?